let's be real for a second. What's the biggest thing slowing down your dev team? Chances are it's not your code, it's your database. So today, we're going to talk about how to take that database from a place of, fear and friction and turn it into something that just flows. Smooth, repeatable, and predictable.
I mean, this quote just nails it, right? We've got these amazing agile processes for our applications. They're like Ferraris, super fast. But then we get to the database and, well, it's like we're still using wagon wheels. You can just imagine the result. A whole lot of shaking and rattling, but you're not actually getting anywhere fast. It's a huge disconnect.
All right, so let's really dig into this whole database bottleneck thing. Why is it such a problem? It really boils down to a few key things that make it totally different from the rest of your app.
So if you look at how we handle applications, it's this nice, simple loop, right? Build, test, deploy, repeat. Easy. But then you look at the database side, and it's a whole other story. It's fragile. It's complex. And why? Well, it all comes down to one crucial word: state. Databases are stateful. You can't just toss out the old version and spin up a new one without causing a massive data disaster.
And that fear, it leads to some really bad habits. We've all been there, right? The midnight deployments, running on pure caffeine and just hoping for the best. And there's always that one person on the team, the database guru who knows all the secrets. But relying on that tribal knowledge it's a ticking time bomb. It's just not a good way to work.
Okay, but it doesn't have to be this way. There is absolutely a way to break free from this cycle of fear. It just starts with a whole new way of thinking about database changes. So in this next part, let's get into the core principles that can turn your database from a massive headache into a real competitive advantage.
All right, let's get something straight. When we talk about database CI/CD, what are we actually talking about? Because there are a lot of myths out there. This is not about tearing down your database and rebuilding it from scratch every single time. No way. It's about treating your database schema just like you treat your application code, with respect. It's about versioning every single change so you have a safe, step-by-step deployment process.
And the absolute heart of this whole thing is something called the changelog. Seriously, think of it like the constitution for your database. It's the one and only source of truth that lays out every single change, making sure your database schema is always in a state you know and can trust, because it's all version controlled.
Now, inside that changelog, you've got these things called change sets. The easiest way to think about them is like individual Git commits, but for your database. Each one is a tiny self-contained change, like adding a new column. It gets tracked, it gets run exactly one time, and it gives you this perfect audit trail of everything that's ever happened to your database.
Okay, listen up, because this is the golden rule. This is non-negotiable. Once a change set has been run in production, it is sacred. You never, and I mean never, go back and edit it or delete it. If you made a mistake, you create a new change set to fix it. This roll-forward idea is the secret to keeping a perfect, auditable history and avoiding that late-night chaos of manual fixes.
Look, if this is all feeling a bit much, here's the simplest way to think about it. It's basically Git plus a migration engine, but for your database. You use Git for what it's great at: version control, peer review, your source of truth. And then you use a smart migration tool, something like Liquibase, to actually apply those changes and keep track of what's already been done. Simple as that.
Okay, so we've got the core ideas down. Now, let's see how this all fits together in the real world. In this section, we're going to walk through a complete CI/CD blueprint, taking a change all the way from a developer's machine into production safely.
So, it all kicks off when a developer commits a new change set to Git. That one action triggers the whole pipeline. The change gets automatically checked, validated, we do a dry run to see what's going to happen, and from there, it's just this smooth, predictable journey through dev, QA, and finally production.
And here is the absolute secret sauce to making this work. You are promoting the exact same artifact through every single environment. The same changelog runs in dev, in QA, and in prod. This is what finally kills that old excuse of, well, it worked on my machine. You get this amazing confidence that what you tested is exactly what's going to production.
Okay, theory is great, but what does this actually look like? Let's get practical. We're going to take a look at a real-world example of how you can build this blueprint using a tool that I'm sure a lot of you know, like Jenkins.
A good CI/CD pipeline is really just like an assembly line for your database changes. Every stage is a quality checkpoint.
You've got your syntax checks, the dry run, deployments to your lower environments, and then, right before it hits production, there's that super important manual approval gate. A human always has the final say.
I really want to double down on this dry run stage. This is your secret weapon for getting everyone on board. Think about it. It's like a full dress rehearsal for your database change. It generates all the SQL that's going to run without actually running it, so everyone can review it and feel confident. This one step is absolutely critical for building trust in the process.
Look, automation is awesome. It's powerful. But when you're talking about your production database, your crown jewels, you still want a human in the loop. That's what that manual approval gate is for. It's a simple but totally non-negotiable guardrail to make sure every change gets a final sign-off before it goes live. It's that perfect balance between speed and safety.
So after all this work, what's the big payoff? Well, it's a complete shift in your mindset. The goal is no longer just to survive the next database release. The new goal is to make it boring. So boringly predictable and routine that you barely even notice it happened.
But what happens when something inevitably goes wrong? Okay, in this new world, we have a different strategy. We don't roll back. Trying to undo a change in a live database is super risky and can make things worse. Instead, we roll forward. We just create a brand new change set that fixes the problem, and we push that fix through the exact same safe, predictable pipeline. And hey, to help you get started, here are a few major things to avoid. These are the cardinal sins of database CI/CD. Don't edit old change sets. Seriously, don't do it. Never ever make manual changes directly on your production database. And please, for the love of your job, always have a backup. Just avoiding these few things will save you a world of hurt.
So when you put it all together, the benefits are just massive. You get safety because the process is repeatable and tested. You get speed because you've automated away all those manual slowdowns. And you get total auditability. You have a Git history that tells the entire story of your database, who changed what, when they did it, and why. This isn't just a win for the tech team, it's a huge win for the business.
I just love this last analogy because it's so true. In the cloud world, we're told to treat our applications like cattle. If one gets sick, you just replace it. No big deal. But databases are pets. They have a name, they have a history, they're important. You can't just replace them. So a tool like Liquibase, well, that's the leash. It lets you manage your precious pet safely and keep it from running into traffic.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What if you could take all the fear, all the stress, all the late nights out of your database deployments? What if your next release was so smooth, so automated, so predictable that it was just boring? That's the real goal here. And now you know how to get there.